Alright everyone, welcome back to Mr. Dunn's Ceramic Room. Today, I'm gonna make some bells. Let's get started. Okay, making a bell. It's gonna be fun. Musical instruments are always cool in ceramics. So there's a couple parts to this we got to be aware of. We got to make a handle on the top somehow. There'll be different ways you can do that. A nice cone shape, right? And that's going to be the tricky part. I'll show you how to cut that out on the slab here. And you have to make a separate ball to hang from a string, and the string has to be connected to a crossbar. So a couple parts, more complicated than it looks, but makes a nice ring. Very high ring. Listen to this one. A cowbell, huh? That's cool. That happened by accident when we discovered that when there's a crack in it, it's a different sound comes out of it. So then we make a crack on purpose. Cut out a nice wavy crack in there. Still high, but much lower than that. So yes, in general, the bigger the bell is, the lower the sound. The smaller you make your bell, the higher pitch you'll get, and that is true. But also the thicker your clay is, it can result in that. So if you have a really small bell with a really thick body, you get this. No ringing really at all. So the smaller you make your bell, the thinner you need to make your clay cone, okay? Just be aware of that. But all the other sizes, what we do in here, are going to be on the slab roller. They'll all be the same thickness. You can get pretty big. Here's a twisty top. That's kind of fun, right? This is light blue over red. Came out cool. But someone stole the ball off the end. But it's actually cracked somewhere, so it doesn't sound good. Alright, so we have different kinds of tops we can do. So let's get down here and I'll show you how to make that cone shape, a handle, crossbar, and the little ball. Let's do this. Bam! Hello! Here we go! Let's do this. So we got a slab. From the slab we should be able to make everything we need. First of all, we need a cone. So I'm going to get a straight edge over here. Any kind of tool you can use for that is good. Come across here. Just get rid of this rough clay. Now, if you saw in the last video, I kind of hinted that we'll be using this little trick. I'm going to put the loop tool with the razor blade into there, up towards the top so it can spin a little bit, like this, see? And I'm going to take, well, I don't need to be on the far end. Ooh, air bubble in my clay there. Right here, and I'm going to go like that and make a half a circle. I'm going to actually lean this out, undercutting it a little bit. See, my tool's angled out here, because I'm going to pull this part up to the middle. That's going to fold down, and I want to turn this into an edge that almost touches the ground. Alright, another issue, we're going to go back down. See how this middle part goes up? Confuses people sometimes. So I'll come over here and it becomes a bell. Look at that. So the more you cut off here, the skinnier your bell will be. So if we cut off some more here, or some here, then it'll be like that, right? Even taller and taller and taller until it's really skinny. But the skinnier it is, the harder it is to reach up in there and put that crossbar, right? So it's stretching out a little bit here. I want to do that after I put it together. So also, is how can we get this together? See those two edges don't line up really well? They're like this, and I need them to go together. So we're going to angle in both of those that way. So really I can do a long cut again. So if you remember that, if you watch the video before you do it, you can angle this cut. Maybe at 45 here. And that's just going to line it up a little better so you won't fight that. And since we don't need to hold the top like the lantern, see, that goes together nicely there. Look at that. Alright. Looks like I could even straighten that out more. Alright, it's okay. Score it. Score, slip, blend, right? How many times we're going to say that same thing. Hook it together. Well, I missed some here. We're going to close the top off completely. So, alright, push these together all the way up. You get this stick wet, and we cross blend this. I'm going to go around the whole thing because when you turn it, the outer edge here cracks and stuff, so I'm going to smooth it all out. So let's time lapse that. Okay, you saw me poking that with the razor blades because there's bumps in here that are air bubbles. I got a used piece of clay, and a lot of you will get used clay a lot of the time. When you see bumps, poke them at an angle and push the air bubble out of it. Alright, well I still have this, but I could leave that on there like that as a, like, shows how it was folded, shows how it was put together. It's kind of fun. If you don't like that, I'm also kind of going in an angle here to get rid of that sharp edge, because that's what will chip off or break or something. So eventually I'll turn it over and smooth it out, but I don't know, I think most of you will probably want this blended out. And then let's close that off. Slowly stretch it out, scrape it off. There we go. Oop. Okay. Find that out. Looks good. A little sponging it. Get it as smooth and soft as possible. Now, I am probably going to put my name in this one because that other one had my name in it, the blue one in the example, cracked. Students used it and swung it too hard and the ball hit it and cracked it in there, and then it doesn't ring anymore. So you can't ring these too hard. Uh-oh, stuck it to the floor. There we go. Let's turn it upside down. Let's clean this edge up so there's no sharp edges there. Nice. Now we got the inside seam. That doesn't look nice, and it could affect the sound, so let's blend that off. Alright. Kind of want to crack it like the other one. I like that sound, the lower cowbell sound. But, okay. Let's keep moving though. We can do that later. Let's get our, wow, another air bubble here. Yep. Okay. Let's do the crossbar on the inside next. And then we can do the handle, then we can do the little ball. Why? Because the handle here is going to want to be floppy, or it could, if it's not a nice loop one, it's sticking up and it's pretty floppy, so turning it around is hard when we want to reach down in here. So here's how we do the crossbar. That's a little small. Let's take a bar of clay like that, a slab of clay. Now if you imagine it inside there like that, then you realize it'd be nice to cut these in an angle, right? So let's cut this at an angle. So now it hooks on nicely inside there, right? Like a beam. So now we're going to look that it goes up high enough or not too high. I also want to make a place for the string wire, whatever we're going to use, to sit in. Down in there. For some reason, sometimes it'll often slide over to the side, won't hang nicely in the middle. So if you make a little divot for it to be, that's just extra help. So now let's look at that. If I go like that and set that in there, see that? That fits pretty nicely. So that works. So I'm happy with that. I'll be able to get the string around that. Mind you, I've gotten it through some pretty tight spots. Use some scissors up there to grab it and pull the string back out once you shove it in. Okay, so what we want to do, of course, to hold it on there good is to score. I should have marked where it was, so I can score the inside. Get it wet. Let's take a look again at that. That's right there. There and here. Get that a little wet. Put this in there. Perfect. See? Back in there. Let's push it in to the side walls. Support it well here. A little compression. Take a nice tool like this, reach up in there and blend it in a little bit off the bottom. We don't like it when these fall out. There is a solution if it falls out though, and everything is dry. What we have to do is drill a hole right here, hang the string through it and around the handle and back down into the ball on the inside. So it still works and no one could tell that there's not a crossbar besides the hole there with the string. So there we go. Smooth this out so nothing sharp. Alright, so we got the crossbar done. Now we are ready for a handle. Now I'm getting more and more of the handles loop because it's just they don't break. A lot of the straight ones up get knocked, just the slightest bump, it breaks off, right? And they take a lot of place in the kiln. If you have a lot of things to put in there and you don't have height, you want to put another table, that's a problem. That's my problem, right? So I prefer students make a loop. It's just more secure. And there's different ways to make the loop. So let's cut it out. All right. You can use a straight slab, go up and out and around. You can loop it around that way. You can literally cut a circle here and put it on. So then the slab, instead of the slab being this way, it's this way. Does that make sense? I'm going to do one like that to be different. Okay, so if you actually cut a slab out like that, you can put that on in there. We'll put a hole in this. Use the hole puncher. There we go. So you make a donut. Find out which way you like it to go. I like the taller look. And then cut out a wedge. So cut out a little wedge like that, so you can see that's going to fit right on there. So you can do one like that. Let me do the long kind here. So if you just cut a strip, you can go like that. So there's that kind, this kind. Of course we'll smooth it all out before we put it on because it's hard to make it smooth when it's on, right? You can even, I saw some kids doing that. Then it's more fingers can get through there to hang and swing in your hand, like at Christmas time or something. So which one do I want to do? I've got 3 up there that are like this already because that just really sits nicely. So I think I'll use this one because it's so different. Okay, I'm gonna use this one. Keep this clay together. Oh, here will be for our ball. I keep doing that, so hopefully your students will be watching the videos. But I go around in class and I still see 1,000 little pieces around you all drying up. That takes a lot longer to dry than a bunch of little pieces. Alright, alright. Squish this into a nice ball. And that'll be the ball we're going to use. We'll come back to that. So, smooth this out like we do on so many things. A little bit of water. Round off the edges. You can use your hand, you can use a sponge. I like how my fingers push down that sharp edge really quickly. If you get stuck to the table, use your metal tool, lift it up, flip it over, round it off. So you can imagine that hooking on is not super strong. So I risk having this get broken at some point if I don't get it to the glaze process. Compared to having a nice flat piece, that's a lot stronger. But it looks cool. Good place to write your name up here or say something. I made a nice bell one year and gave it to a teacher who was retiring. She thought it was awesome because it kind of represents teacher ringing the bell for the kids to come in from recess, and had some history there. All right, some bumps. Okay. All right, I'll be right back. All right, if you didn't know we had this, we have this. It is a bunch of letters. We're missing 2, so if we don't have your letter, I'm sorry. They are little metal letters. They're kind of nice, kind of calligraphy in a way. It's a good design. Has a tool here to hook it on to. There you go, and press it on, but I just hold it like that. All right, and I'm gonna try to write my name, my last name, D, U, and 2 N's. Oh, that's an M. What was this N? There it is. N. All right. And then, come on, slowly. I'm gonna go like this. I need to support the back if I'm gonna push so hard against it. Make sure it's facing the right way. D. Press it on there good. Oh, it didn't work. The bottom. There it is. U. And then that way. There's our bell. See? T-U-N-N. I was able to get back on those and press harder on the bottom, but I did it there and you see the double, kind of double image. Didn't get it perfect, but it's still good. Alright, so now we need to get the ball, but we don't hook it on until after it's all fired and done and glazed. This is a very fragile handle. It really wants to flop away. Gotta let it sit there to dry. Okay, I'm gonna get up close on this one. So the ball size matters. That one is a bigger bell, so a bigger clanger. I'll call it a clanger. A bigger clanger. But too big means too much weight and will hit the edge of it and crack it somewhere internally, maybe in a way you can't even see, and then it goes tunk, 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 and doesn't ring. Doesn't ring the bell anymore. So you want one that's big enough to ring your big bell, but small enough that it won't crack it. So I start kind of pulling this up like this till I get to a size I think is the right size for it. Pull off that extra clay, and I'm going to round this off. You can even go like that. I'm rolling it in there like this. I'm going to pull off about that much. There we go. So there's the size I want. I'm going to use some water now because I just torqued it and crashed it and cracked it. Okay, around the top. So the bigger parts are going to be hanging down. I'm going to put a hole right here. So that part can swing in any direction and hit the sidewall without hitting the wire or the rope, because that'll deaden the sound. I've had that happen in the past, so we changed the design here. So you just take a needle tool, spin it, drill a hole through. One thing that's annoying is when the hole gets filled with glaze and then clogs and you can't use it. So don't do a needle hole. Drill all the way through it. Nice bigger hole there like that. Okay, clean it up. All the garbage wants to clog again. Do it again. See? So, get these chunks off of there. I even like to make a path for the string to come up. So, be a rounded edge. You won't want to cut it if it's sharp or anything. There we go. Now the last thing that a lot of people forget is that you want to glaze this, and you want the whole thing glazed, right? Or close to it. So if you set that down it's on the table, when you glaze it'll melt to the table, or it'll roll over and melt. So if you tap it down, you'll get a flat spot. So, and it also helps to bulge it out a little bit. There we go. So now we have a little flat spot that you'll be able to set it on there, glaze the whole thing, wash the bottom, and set it down, and it can fire and not melt to the table. You'll have glass around the edges that will cling against the glass of the glaze of the bell, and you're good. So then when you're all done, you take this and put it underneath inside there, so we know that clanger is yours. A lot of students will even write their initials on the bottom there, and so it matches the initials or whatever on the inside of the bell. If you put your name on your bell, you're good. That's a good way to actually tell that it's yours. Get your name on it with this thing, or any other way you want to do it. Just don't cut too deep in it. Now's the time when it's kind of done and secure. You can design a crack or a line that's fun. Don't go all the way up, about close to it, 3/4 of the way up, and then you get that lower bell sound. And I'm going to go set it down where I want it to be, and then I'm going to do that to this one, because I don't want, when I pick it up, it gets floppy, right? And it could fall apart on me. So let's go do that, and then we'll just set it down on the shelf to dry. Alright, so I remember I put the crossbar from this side to this side because my seam line is here. So I don't want to cut into the crossbar. But that also means the bell is ringing this way. So I don't want it to hit the crack. So I'm going to kind of go between where the bell will hit here and where the crossbar is there, right over here, and make my little crack line. So maybe I'll go like this, it'll be fun. Little wavy line. And have it get bigger as it goes down. Is that cool? That let it all ring better, or I don't know, it just makes a lower sound. There we go. And we're done. Make sure this is straight up, that's where it's going to dry. Oh, is that my bell? Ugh, somehow I smashed my little ringer. It'll stretch back out. Clay is really elastic.
There we go. Fix that up a little bit. Salvaged. Alright. And then it's going to balance there like that. If I can put it in there, that'd be great. Push that up.
Alright, all done. Alright class, that is it for today's lesson on how to make a bell. Hope you enjoyed that. Get to it and have a great time. Laters.